Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, it's 2:32 a.m. in Vancouver, British Columbia. I am James Cousineau, coming to you from the ProPix TV studios. And once again, we are in for a fun evening of friendly chat and conversation. Tonight, we are talking about the Invictus Games. They have set down in Vancouver. There is excitement brewing in Vancouver and Whistler this week as the competitions continue. Now, I was fortunate enough to spend some time down at the games, at some of the events over the weekend, and welcoming a lot of athletes. I was able to meet up and interview some of the athletes and welcome them to Vancouver, and just the excitement that they were exuding was just phenomenal. Not only are they excited to be here to compete, but they are also excited to be in Vancouver. Fortunately, for the last few days, it has been cold. There is snow on the ground, but at the same time, the sun has been shining, so they've been welcomed by at least some bright days on the slopes and in the facilities. Now, the different teams that I've met up with so far, as they were getting to events or going to places from events, and that was including what they call the Friends and Family event, and that essentially was a event for people to get to know the athletes, get to meet them, get to meet the different people involved, the friends and the family to come together, the friends of the games being sponsors and others. Volunteers are just off the charts. The number of volunteers that are involved in the Invictus Games this year is phenomenal, and we have some stories about that as well. Now, if you are following here on TikTok, then of course you can see some of the stories in some of the athletes that I've been interacting with over the last few days. And I will continue to bring news stories throughout the week from the events, as well as featuring different teams, different athletes, and different stories. And one of the stories that we're working on right now that will be posted a bit later is the advantages and the benefits of service animals to help the veterans who have come back from the wars, from different assignments with life-altering injuries, with PTSD or other things that have affected their lives. It's amazing the value of the service animals. And one volunteer who's here in Vancouver helping with the games actually has his service animal with him. It assists him with his PTSD. It helps him either wake him from nightmares, helps him to feel a bit more calm and comforted, to reduce the nightmares. It reduces his anxiety. He's able to get back out and actually be involved in crowds where that would have been virtually impossible prior to that. And to hear how the service animal has changed his life is just very inspiring as well. And I encourage you, there is the big I am logos or lettering around the city. But I encourage and actually challenge all of my viewers to set into the comments section, I am, and give yourself a tag. So I know that a lot of them are I am invincible, I am inspired, I am enthusiastic, I am never going to surrender, different things. So put yours up there, I am, and then just add your descriptive there as you would like. I'd be curious to see what people are putting in there and how you're going to run with that. So hashtag I am, and then just add something at the end. So I've been using I am inspired, because of the level of inspiration that these athletes that have basically landed here in Vancouver, sharing their stories, and the training and the commitment that they have to the games is just, they're second to none. They train hard, they come and they play hard, and after all that they've been through, it is very inspiring to watch the story. So throughout the week, pay attention to what's going on here on TikTok, because I will be sharing those stories with you, as I have been already. Don't forget to follow us so you can be notified when these stories come up and when we post new stories about the veterans who are here competing in competition, whether that is curling, whether it is basketball wheelchair or sitting volleyball. Curling, as I said, skiing, rugby. There's just so many sports and activities going on both in Vancouver and in Whistler this week. So get out and support the games, and really, it is just phenomenal. Over this past weekend, with the major opening ceremonies, they took place at BC Place Stadium. And for those not from Vancouver, BC Place Stadium is our largest stadium facility in Vancouver, actually in British Columbia. And it is a beautiful place. Excuse me. And the roof, of course, was closed given the weather, but the crowd was very loud inside, and believe me, the roof was almost blown off by the excitement. Not only for the athletes, but also for some of the acts who were performing at the opening ceremonies. Chris Martin, lead singer from Coldplay, was there, and he did an amazing job. Like, he had the crowd going, and it was nothing short of phenomenal. His performance is something that people will remember for a long time yet. And of course, Nelly Furtado was there, as well as others. So yeah, it's been a great week, and we're going to keep posting information and different videos, photos, and so forth to our TikTok and other platforms as well, so that we can continue sharing updates about the Invictus Games with you, and just the excitement that goes with them. Now, whether you like whether you like Harry or Meghan is besides the point. The show that they've put on, the work behind the scenes to make the Invictus Games happen, I mean, that is dedication, that is professionalism, and that is amazing what they are doing for these veterans. And yeah, I just can't say enough about them. And let's remember that some of the athletes are also currently serving in the different military forces. Some of them even with, for example, Ukraine. They are still enrolled. They are still fighting on the front lines, and they were able to break away to take part and participate in the games. So again, it is just amazing the stories going on there. Thanks for the guitar guy. All the little emojis there. By all means, throw up some comments, everyone. Welcome, JH. There you go. I see it disappeared, but welcome, Certified Yapper. That's a great handle. I love it. Guitar guy, where are you from? Let us know. I love to know where people are logging in from. I love to know where people are joining the conversation from. So if you would like, by all means, put your city in the comments section. I know where people are logging in from, and give you a shout out. Zane joined. Welcome. Yeah, so the Invictus Games have been very exciting for the city. It brings in a lot of revenue, but at the same time, the level of volunteers is just something to never be overlooked, because without the volunteers, it couldn't happen. Excuse me, sorry about that, folks. So yeah, without the volunteers, of course, the Invictus Games couldn't happen, whether it's in Vancouver, whether it is in the U.S., doesn't matter where they take place. It is, of course, the volunteers that are the backbone to drive this event forward and to help it grow and expand. But also what helps it to expand and develop are the viewers on the televisions, on the streaming platforms, and so forth. And if you have not seen or not been aware very much of the history and the dedication of the Invictus Games, I really, really encourage you to take a look at a documentary. It was done by Archwell Productions, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's production company, as well as in partnership with Netflix. So it does stream on Netflix. Check it out. Just search for Invictus Games, and you'll find the documentary on there. It's very, very inspiring. It's very cool. I really enjoyed it. And I encourage you to check it out, especially if you're not too familiar with the Invictus Games and to see the history and such. It is not that old, of an organization. And it was actually spearheaded, of course, by Prince Harry, by Prince William. They worked together to get it off the ground and to make it what it was and what it is and what it will be in the future. And that is consistently growing. There are 2 new nations in this year, and I apologize, I forget who the 2 new nations are this year, but if you know out there, by all means, throw them up in the comment section. And again, it is pretty cool. I'm going to see if I can pull up a screen here. Let's see if we can add a video screen here, if I can. If not, I might have to do something drastic, like leave the chat and come back to it adding. So give me a second here. Let me see. Oh, I should be able to add a source. Give me a moment. Let me just go in here and we'll take a look at some videos that we've already posted. And then again, if you wish, you can always find those on our various platforms as well. So don't be shy that way. Let's go there. And give me just a moment. Jeremy, 1212, welcome. Lancelot, welcome. We are just talking about the Invictus Games here in Vancouver. And I'm going to bring up a video momentarily. Actually, we'll share a few of them just because I think that they are pretty cool. The first one will give you some highlights from the first couple of days, or the first day. Chris Martin, welcome to the conversation. John Alexander, welcome. Yeah, I'm just going to share a video here and we'll talk about it afterwards. But yeah, it, as I said, is very exciting to see the Invictus Games here in Vancouver. And let's see, that one is not available, so we will go to this one. All right, there we go. So let's open up a sharing screen so that you can actually see what the video was about, if we can. There we go.
Time in Vancouver?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Excellent. What do you think so far?
It's good. Very cool.
There you go.
Cold and cool.
And of course, you probably expected that coming to Canada, right?
Yes, sure.
Excellent. Well, I hope that you guys have a great time here in Vancouver, and maybe I'll run into you throughout the week.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you
take care.
so
What do you
much.
say to everybody back home?
We love you.
These guys
Good
are all
luck.
shy in the background. Come on over. Come on and say hi. Come on over. Say hello, everyone.
Everyone, have a great day and weeks.
Okay, and what do you have to say to the other teams that are and the other athletes that are
Be
competing?
brave. Don't be afraid of Georgia team. But we will win. For sure.
But you'll do it with that beautiful smile, right?
Okay. Yes.
All right, Brett.
So I do have PTSD due to service, and I was lucky enough to be matched up with this girl here. She has changed my life in the 3.5 months that I've actually had her with me. She has changed my life incredibly. I get out more in the public. She helps with my nightmares. She's just always there for me, and it's I can't tell you how much like she meant to me in changing my life. Oh, good girl, get in there, yeah. That's a good girl. The sport for these people, it's the same thing for them. That's their support, is them keeping into that sport, and that's how they keep their recovery going. It's a camaraderie thing with the military as well, you know, being former service, just getting to be able to hang out with some like-minded people.
Welcome to Vancouver. What team are you here for, of course, on your jacket, but let them know in case they can't see if they're just listening to us online.
I'm playing for the New Zealand team.
Excellent. And what sports?
We've got our first game of wheelchair basketball tonight against the Unconquered, and I'm also playing wheelchair rugby skeleton.
Perfect.
And having a jam at skiing, which I haven't done very much of ever.
There you go.
Yeah.
And how does it feel to be in Vancouver for the games?
It's been awesome. Everyone's been so friendly. We got a bit of snow, which was nice early on, and yeah, we're having a lot of fun.
Kind of get you in the spirit when you're talking about skiing and to have the snow coming down. That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely helped. Definitely helped.
I don't know if you're familiar with when we had the Olympics here in 2010. We actually had a shortage of snow, and there were actually truckloads and truckloads going to the slopes, and then it snowed right the night before.
Oh, really? Really, just tricking you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So at least we had lots of snow ahead of time for these games. So excellent.
Yeah.
Welcome
Awesome.
to Vancouver, and we wish you well. I hope to see you at various events throughout the week.
Thank you very much.
All right, and hopefully on the awards podium, getting some medals.
Hopefully.
All right, take care.
Cheers.
You want to say hi to everybody back home?
Hi to my family. Hopefully the boys aren't being too menacing. Thank you.
All right, so as you can see there, there we go. We are back. For some reason, we've gone bizarre on our screen. So, regardless though, and I hope that video came through okay for everybody, I would just commend the attitude and the excitement and all of that comes with the Invictus Games being here in Vancouver. It is a lot of fun. It's very exciting. And of course, it's great to be welcoming all of these athletes to our great city. And yeah, and if you've been to any of the events, by all means, throw it up in the comments. Let me know if you've been to any of the Invictus Games events here in Vancouver or at previous events throughout, whether it's, you know, in the US or Toronto when they hosted them or anywhere else. By all means, as I said, let me know where you've checked out the games from if you've been fortunate enough to see them before. I'm just going to fix our background here and our screen. So we'll fix that up so that we are back on the main site. There we go. That'll work anyway. So yeah, if you've been to the Invictus Games, by all means, share your thoughts with me. Let me know what games you've been to, what you thought of them. There are teams, again, from all over the world, and there are 2 new teams that have joined this year. It is exciting, it is fun, and yeah, it has been very inspiring to see what's going on with the Invictus Games here in Vancouver. And how the word is growing. The games are growing, but so is the awareness of the Invictus Games. And I know, for example, speaking to some of the volunteers who are involved in the Vancouver Games, they had not heard of the Invictus Games. They weren't aware of the value to the veterans and to others. And when they saw the series or the documentary on Netflix, that's what inspired them to reach out. They thought that the Invictus Games were just amazing and then realized that they were coming to Vancouver, and they jumped on the opportunity to give back and to be a part of supporting the Invictus Games as volunteers here in Vancouver. The Yeah, that was great. And it really helped to spread awareness and create that support for amazing athletes who have met certain struggles while defending our nation or the world. And that, of course, we know is something that we can never repay. So by having the volunteers and the support of the community behind these games is quite a small price to pay when you consider what they've given. Not only the individuals, but their families. I mean, let's face it, families of military members, especially the kids, they don't sign up for it. They are brought into a situation where one or both parents may be enrolled and enlisted and may be called to duty. And that is tough. It is sacrifice. Even if it is one member of the family, one of the parents that get called out. And it's still tough on the family. It's tough on the kids. It's tough on the spouses. And it's tough on other family members, whether that's the service members' siblings, their parents, their grandparents, and so forth. So when a life-changing injury occurs, that has a much wider impact, not just on the one individual, but on their families as well. Now, PTSD is something that is overlooked many, many times, and it's grown a lot more in terms of its awareness and its acceptance, saying, hey, it's okay to admit that you have PTSD, and there are programs that can help you now. But unfortunately, the impacts sometimes are greater than the ability of the family to cope with them. And a lot of times when there is PTSD involved, it can break up the family units. It can cause a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of trust issues coming up. And, and especially when you factor into the children's minds of individuals who come back with these life-altering injuries or with PTSD and, other illnesses or other sicknesses, other injuries. It is tough. It's a real adjustment, and there's a real long recovery period in some cases, and that puts a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger. Kids may not want to upset mom or upset dad, but they are confused by the illness, whether it's PTSD or feeling the anguish and the stress of a parent missing a limb or whatever the case is. So yeah, the effects of the injury are much further reaching than the physicality of missing that part of an arm or a leg. It goes much deeper than that, and that's something, again, that people look at the physical injury and they don't realize the psychological and mental impacts that it has, as well as the stress that it places on the family unit. And as I said, a lot of awareness is definitely coming to light, and a lot more education of the public is phenomenal. But at the same time, it's still a certain level of stigmatism that comes with those type of injuries that can't be physically seen. And again, we revert back to PTSD, or, when you lose part of a limb, there is that anxiety, there is that phantom pain, there is, so much more than what people can see, but because they can't see it, they don't understand as well as they can when they can visually see something that was caused by, whether it's an explosive or a bullet or whatever the case is. It is, again, some people see it as a sign of weakness to ask for help. Some people see it as a sign of weakness to be asked for help. And, especially when you look at family units, older parents or such, or grandparents may not quite understand at the same level. But others will. I mean, let's face it, a lot of grandparents have gone through the same type of situation, going back to whether it's the Vietnam War or World War II or whatever the case is. There are a lot of people that understand more than what's been spoken about. with veterans from World War II, veterans from Vietnam, and other things, Afghanistan and, Iraq. It's a lot of times they didn't speak about the PTSD. They didn't speak about the trauma. They didn't speak about the atrocities that they bear witness to. And so therefore it makes it difficult for the soldiers today, or, armed service members today, to reach out and speak out. But what they don't realize is that by not only speaking out to some of the older veterans, it can be cathartic for them as well, because they are finally in a position where they may feel safe to be able to let something out that they've held on to for decades and not known how to deal with and cause them struggles in their life. So again, supporting the veterans in any way that is possible is very, very important and essential to that the ongoing struggles that they may face. And to support the families is also important. And that's another way that the Invictus Games come into this. When there are injuries, life-changing injuries, when there are psychological illnesses such as PTSD or otherwise, a lot of times the armed forces members and the veterans can sit at home. They can isolate. They can shut themselves off from the world. And by giving them this ray of hope, this reason to live, this motivation, the inspiration, and so forth, to be involved with something and to be a part of a team once again, that can be a huge, huge value in motivating them and giving them a sense of direction in their lives again. So the long and hard reality is that the Invictus Games are providing an amazing opportunity for people to get involved in sport that may not have been involved in sports previously. But more important, it's giving them a reason to continue to exist, to fight, to get through the struggles of physical therapy, to get through the struggles of maybe family and relationship therapy, to get through PTS treatments, and so forth. So yeah, again, the impact of the Invictus Games can never be understated, can never be undervalued, and to that I commend all of the people from the Invictus Games Foundation, all of the supporters, whether it is the Boeing Corporation, whether it is the Atco Corporation, or anybody else. Just the corporate sponsors help to make the wheels turn. The volunteers just make everything come together. And yeah, it is just an amazing, amazing event. The people who have come in to help with the opening ceremonies by performing, such as Katy Perry, and again Chris Martin, and the others. And then for the closing ceremonies, of course, the Bare Naked Ladies out of Toronto or Scarborough. You have Jelly Roll coming in from the United States. Just the entertainment is phenomenal as well, because these are people that have stories of their own. Because let's face it, every single person has a story. And if you sit down and you talk to somebody, almost everybody has had a story of struggle in their life at one point or another. And whether that is substance abuse or getting through trauma from childhood, or in this case, much more to the point of our conversation, are people that have been impacted by the injury sustained while serving their country and their nation, as well as serving the world through NATO and other initiatives that are going on around the world. I personally, as most of you would be aware, did some reporting from the front lines in Ukraine just after the war broke out. I saw on the front lines, I saw what the soldiers were going to going through. I saw the victims of the explosions, of enemy gunfire and so forth. And let me tell you, it is a terrible thing when you leave there, and I'm talking about myself. I wasn't there fighting. I was there to document and to report on the truth of what was happening in Ukraine at the hands of Russian military members. And it was devastating to see that. But at the same time, when I left Ukraine, I was able to come back to Canada, to safety, to a life, to a nation that will be here tomorrow. And the same can't be said for Ukraine when you look at how brave and the resiliency and the compassion and the just everything that they are inspired to continue to protect. And that is a very rich culture, a very deep-rooted pride in their country. And as I said, there's some guilt when I get back here, and I know that other reporters didn't make it out of Ukraine alive. I know that soldiers that many soldiers don't make it out alive, or the ones that do, such as Team Ukraine here in Vancouver competing, they come out with life-altering injuries. So, those are my heroes, people who just give of themselves, of the ultimate sacrifice of themselves in order to bring peace and stability to the world and to protect their own nation for their children's future. So my hat's off to all of the athletes at the Invictus Games. Thank you very much for your bravery, for your service, and for being a part of the Invictus Games to give inspiration to others, to give inspiration to other veterans who may be shut off from the world, shut off from their families, and isolated from just even the most mundane of daily events going on in their community. And by you being the inspiration of participating in these games and the training that you are taking part in, the camaraderie that may inspire others to, instead, as Prince Harry says, to get off the couch and to get involved. And that is the biggest message I think that goes out right now, is how you are inspiring others to get control of their life and to make life worth living again for those individuals. So again, thank you for being here, Vancouver. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, by all means, throw them up in the comments section. This episode will re-air. I will repost it, on the various social media platforms. Once again, you're watching James here at ProPix TV in Vancouver, British Columbia. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and thanks for joining us for another live episode and live chat with James.